Welcome back everybody to Keenan KTV. During this lead up to the Israel Adesanya vs Alex Pereira rematch fight, we like to spin the narrative that this contest is going to be Israel Adesanya's nightmare matchup. To call it a nightmare matchup is in my opinion pretty wrong. A nightmare matchup will be somebody who is going to be a counter style to yours. This matchup is simply put a difficult matchup. Even though Adesanya lost to Pereira twice and got knocked out in one, we really must realize he was never really beaten down by Alex Pereira. To me, it seemed pretty clear that Adesanya won the first fight, winning the first and last rounds of the contest. Now in the second fight, he seemed to be dominating up until the flash knockout took place. And now if you take a look at my fighter cards, then you will see that even though they might have the same rating for striking, the surrounding game is vastly different. By looking at the difference in defense and physicality, this matchup speaks for itself. Pereira is going to be the fighter who will heavily rely on his toughness and unorthodox output to catch the opponent off guard with his thunderous power. Adesanya, on the other hand, doesn't share the same power, so he must make up for it with his defense, footwork, and hand speed. And one thing that a lot of people just seem to completely ignore is just how vulnerable and hittable Alex Pereira is. Adesanya was able to get a standing 8 count. That is pretty much the equivalent of getting a knockdown without dropping the opponent. And so in that matchup, you could immediately tell Adesanya's speed in terms of head movement, in terms of hand speed, in terms of footwork was far too superior for Alex Pereira. And so in those buffer moments, in those longer ranges, when it came down to leg kicking, when it came down to jabbing, when it came down to moving and evading, Adesanya was winning and winning comfortably. Now, when the fight took place and they were both exchanging, and if the exchanges happened in the middle of the ring, then Alex Pereira would win. However, if Adesanya was pressuring Pereira very aggressively and putting him on his back heels and making him move backwards, then he took away a lot of the power that Pereira has in his shot selections. And so Adesanya was safe in two places. Either he was moving or he was making Alex Pereira move and putting the pressure on him. But before we continue, let us hear from today's sponsor. This video has been brought to you by Surfshark VPN. For years I've been using the many benefits of what a VPN service has to provide, and Surfshark VPN does it better than the rest. With over 3,200 servers in over 90 countries, for me as a fight fan, this has been a blessing because platforms such as Twitter and YouTube will geo-restrict much of their content. So, to bypass this, I simply connect to a United Kingdom server with Surfshark VPN and get to enjoy the many video offerings such as full fights, promos, and documentaries that are out there. But wait, it gets even better. By connecting to Algeria using Surfshark VPN and going over to UFCArabia.com, you can get UFC Fight Pass and all of the UFC pay-per-views for only $5 a month with English commentary. Compare this with the enormous $70 that you will pay for only one main pay-per-view card. This also means that you do not need to have ESPN Plus to then also buy the pay-per-view. So what are you waiting for? With a 30-day money-back guarantee, you must give this a try. Surfshark is currently offering an 83% discount by using my promo code KKTV. You will also be getting an additional 3 months for free. Hit the link in the description below or the pinned comment to sign up now. If we go back to the first fight now, after seeing how the first round went, where Adesanya was able to jab him, move him, use his speed and footwork to just outpoint him, Pereira made the correct adjustment and he completely rushed Adesanya and made him work very hard on the back foot. By forcing him to work harder, Adesanya will throw more shots, and the more shots he throws, the more mistakes he can make and the more that Pereira can catch Adesanya, which was exactly what happened. He was hitting Adesanya with so many big blows, and that was the round that I gave Alex Pereira. Then in the third round, Adesanya's stamina, endurance came into play. He still had very quick hands, very quick feet, and he was able to do what he did in the first round again in the third round. However, the judges saw it differently and awarded Pereira the unanimous decision victory. So going into the second fight, Adesanya took measures into his own hands and started off very strong. He put the pressure on Pereira, but that is exactly where Pereira likes to fight at. As much as Pereira likes to knock his opponents out and be on the front foot, it just seems like he is comfortable getting hit all the time. And so even though he was put on a standing 8 count, he didn't even seem that hurt. He seemed like he could take a lot more punishment still. And so Pereira started to set up the big knockout blow. He knows that he cannot create an opening on Adesanya by forcing it. He has to rely on opportunistic moments in the fight and sequences to catch Adesanya off guard. That is the way that he was able to catch Adesanya in the first fight as well. And so he used Adesanya's defense against him. In Pereira's last fight in the LFA, where he scored a beautiful right high kick, left hook knockout, we could see that exact same combination take place way before that in this matchup. Because Adesanya was always using his head movement, he had to go ahead and use his kicks, because that's exactly what Jan Blachowicz did to beat Adesanya as well. The kicks really beat Adesanya's head movement. So when Adesanya was moving his head, Pereira would simply kick him to stop it, and that is exactly when Adesanya tried to stand up straight, but on the return of the kick, Pereira was already loading up on that big left hook, which just ended up not connecting. He kind of missed the shot, so that was a big blow that Adesanya was able to avoid, but it seemed like that was the way to go for Pereira. Try to make Adesanya lean away, and as he was restoring his posture, sneak in the left hook, and that is exactly what he did to secure the knockout blow in the second fight. And so now we're left with the UFC title fight rematch. It is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, this is going to be mixed martial arts, but let us be real here. I highly doubt that Adesanya will shoot him for a takedown. I highly doubt that there will be any real significant clinch grappling taking place in this matchup. And so, even though Adesanya has better grappling, he obviously has better offensive submission fighting. He's got terrific takedown defense. He's just defensively a wizard. Whether it is in the grappling department or striking department, Adesanya is just a hard guy to control. And so, every single thing that applied in the first two fights will apply again in the third fight. Adesanya will be once again the fitter fighter, the faster fighter, the smarter fighter in my opinion, and he will use his experience as a UFC champion to his benefit. The gloves are much smaller, so Adesanya will be a little bit more reluctant to block shots, to lean away, which will result in him using his footwork a lot more, and I believe that he will be heavily relying on his jab and his low kicks. Adesanya is very predictable in his manner of switching stances. When he's in orthodox, he will box. When he switches to southpaw, he will throw body kicks and high kicks. So he will definitely avoid the mistake of being over aggressive. He will avoid the mistake of engaging with Pereira, trying to test his power, trying to knock him out. He will be very smart in this matchup. However, since that fight, Alex Pereira did become a two-divisional World Glory Kickboxing champion, and he obviously defeated Israel Adesanya twice. Aside from all the opinions that you can have, he won at the end of the day, and so he is going to be the toughest striker that Adesanya will face come fight night. Both are about the same size, which is pretty rare so far in the UFC career of Adesanya. Many of Adesanya's opponents have been 5'11", 6 foot. He obviously towers over these guys. He's got a long range, he's got a long reach, and so he really had a great distance advantage over most of these guys. And so that taken away, and I hope to see a firework contest. For now, I would say that Adesanya is the favorite going into the fight. I know recently many fans are hating on Adesanya due to his performances recently, but let us not make this a Brian Ortega versus Max Holloway situation all over again. Let us just use all the data we have, be objective, be reasonable, and form a respectable opinion. But in the end, only time will tell what will truly happen. For now, leave in the comment section down below who you think will win come fight night. As always, I've been Keenan from Keenan KTV, signing off. Later.